Welcome back to All Things Acura. I'm Matt.
And I'm Justin.
And welcome back to another episode where we were trying to get one out with the Acura Incentives, I think earlier this last month, but then things kind of kept rolling, and then we're back to the Acura Incentive video for May 1st. So they just came out with some new incentives today.
Oh, you were talking about the incentives that they changed.
Yeah,
so there were some tweaks last month, and there was just no way to get that out in time. So
this is the bigger change.
This is the bigger change.
Yeah, so I think that, we both kind of felt like, hey, some of the incentives kind of remained the same. There was a couple things that they kind of threw at us like the last week of the month. And then I said, well, let's just wait until May 1st, which it is. We are recording this as of May 1st.
So if you're on one of the older videos, well, you wouldn't hear that. You wouldn't hear this. So make sure you're watching the May 1st.
Yeah, right.
Can't go back in time.
That's right. Anything from this point forward, the thing is of the past is now irrelevant. So anyway, so we'll go through some of the Acura incentives for as of May 1st. Some really interesting changes across the board here.
So we'll jump right into these, and we do have up there that they're subject to change without notice. We'll put that disclaimer in every time because they do change sometimes, as they have actually the last couple months. Usually not for the worst. Usually they make enhancements to them, but things can go away and they can change without them telling us. So we're telling you it's between May 1st and May 31st. However, it can change at whatever notice, and that's not up to us.
Yeah, it's not.
So the first thing we're going to start with is Integra, excluding Type S. Still excluding Type S because they don't offer any incentives on a limited supply of that car. Finance rates, 3.9, 24 to 60 months. So that did change from last month because they had a 36-month special on there as well. But now they still hung on to that 3.9 for 24 to 60 months. And you get some extra money. And this is pretty unusual for Acura to do. We haven't seen this for years. I don't even know if it was a pre-COVID thing.
It feels like it's been a while.
It's been a while since they offered a rate plus an incentive on top of that. But we are looking at the 24s. The 25s are probably a couple months, 2-3 months away. So they're giving us some extra money, some extra incentive to help move those cars. And that's what that is. So you can combine those two. And then move on to lease. Similar scenario. We went to one 24 to 48 month special rate of 0.00140 money factor, which converts that to an interest rate is 3.36. So still a strong rate on the lease. But they added some lease cash. You get $750 captive lease cash. So what's this means? And the finance cash, just if you're watching that, the finance cash is also captive finance cash. So what that means is you need to finance with Acura Finance to get either one of those. So obviously the lease, you're going to take advantage of the lower money factor of the 0.00140. There's no reason why you wouldn't, but that lease $750 is only good for that. Same with the finance. You either have to take advantage of the 3.9 or the standard rates through Acura to get the $1,000 bonus finance captive cash. So just captive finance cash. And on the lease, you also get a $1,000 bonus cash. And I should have put sell down bonus cash in there, which I did on the other models, because it's part of, since it's 24 and 25s are coming, I wouldn't say soon. We're still a little ways away from that, but they're trying to sell down some inventory that's out there. So on a lease, you get a total of $1,750.
Right. And there's really not going to be any changes. I don't think on the 25. So this is a great time to get whatever's left of the 2024 Integras. They did drop the loyalty money, but the good news is here, there's a lot more money to go around for everyone. So whether you were loyal or you had a conquest vehicle, some nice money to go around there with that.
Perfect. So on to the TLX excluding Type S. So
the 23 is gone now, off the list entirely. So there's no more incentives on 23. So
purchase only or cash, however you prefer.
Yeah, keep that in mind.
Yep.
So the 24 TLX does get the 4.9 for the 24 to 60 months as far as the finance rates, which is still a good rate, under 5%. That's still good for that. The lease incentive, so it's not as, you're not seeing as many incentives on the 24 TLX, we are down to a 0.00112 for 24 to 48 months, which does convert to 2.68. And then for the lease or finance cash, so we do have a loyalty offer on the TLX still, which is the $1,000, or the Conquest offer, which is still $1,000. So, the 24s just came out. We don't have a ton of them, so you can see Acura is not really pushing that too much. And again, the loyalty is the Acura, but the Conquest is going to be the Audi, BMW, Buick, Cadillac, Genesis, Honda, Infiniti, Lexus, Lincoln, Mercedes, Tesla, or Volvo. And no Type S's allowed.
No Type S's, excluding that Type S. So on to the RDX, 24 RDX. We did get rid of the region A or B, which was the last several months. So this is good across the country in the United States. So finance, 3.9%, 24 to 60 months. And that, the lease, 0.00128 money factor. Again, point that out on the lease. Again, all these lease terms are good, 24 to 48 months. Again, converted that money factor to a 3.07 rate. Now, there is lease cash on the RDX. Again, captive cash. You got to go through Acura to get that. Interesting enough, it's $700. Usually they do $250.
Right.
And I had to look at that twice, but unless it's a misprint, it's $700 on my sheet. So you get the special rate, special money factor, plus that $700. And then there is still Acura loyalty of $1,000. There's Conquest money of $750. And then if you have a Lexus Conquest vehicle, you get an additional $500. So if you're watching this and you have a Lexus at home, 2014 or newer, the way I understand the program, Matt, is you get the 750 Conquest because, right, why would you give that up? And this $500 Lexus bonus cash. So that's interesting because they've never done that before. So they're really trying to get aggressive on some Conquest sales.
On Lexus, which is interesting for us. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't. Who knows?
I've never had that specific of a Conquest before.
Yeah.
But
here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, and we'll have to get some clarification on that with regards to.
So interesting, Matt. Should I even bring this up?
I'm scared.
If you have a Lexus, you actually get a better deal than if you have an Acura.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. So, anyway, we'll clarify that. But
we'll verify.
Hey, if you have a Lexus, come on in. You're going to get a great deal.
You're going to get a good deal. All right, on to the MDX.
This is where things get crazy.
Yeah.
Super crazy. So anyway, the MDX does still have the 3.9 for up to 60 months, which is continued. We did drop the other one. There's the okay, you ready? The $2,000 sell down captive bonus cash, right, for financing. And then on the lease, I'm not even ready for this. So on the lease, you have, let me see. Okay, so you have the 0.00120 rate, which is a 2.88% interest rate. And then we go on to all these bonuses, which, Justin, we haven't seen this kind of thing since Hector was a pup. Since
it's been a while.
It's been a while since the 2020 this kind of has that feel, right? So you have the
it does a little bit, but I'll tell you why it's different.
Okay, so the $2,000 captive lease cash, the $2,000 captive sell down bonus cash, which can be combined, along with if you lease. And again, this is specific to leasing, and we put okay. Oh, you did put Acura lease up there. I was making sure. So if you have an Acura, you get an additional $2,000, or if you have a Lexus, you get $500. So that means you can get $6,500 on a lease off the price of an MDX right off the bat. So
yeah, it is. It is. Let me correct this as we sit, because I just noticed that this captive lease cash is actually $2,500.
Yeah, not okay. So that's where
I apologize. That is my fault because
we're giving you more money. So
giving you more money. So it like Matt says, $2,500 plus the $2,000 sell down. If you have an Acura and you're going to lease, you get another $2,000. It's getting super aggressive on the lease. Now, this goes back to the 20s when they were trying to liquidate the 20s because the 20s they held over for so long because it wasn't a 21 model. So they put some heavy incentives on them the same way. The one thing that's different about this is that had, I think it was $4,000 to $5,000 worth of incentive as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when you went with all those incentives, you had to use standard rates. Now, rates back then
I don't remember
weren't
okay.
too bad. I mean, they were 3-4%, so it wasn't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
These rates today, standard rates would be outrageous. You're getting to take advantage of the money factor of 0.00120, special rate 2.88 plus the money.
Right.
So it's even better today than actually what it was then.
Yeah, and you have people that are going to be able. I mean, for a long time, it's been like, hey, guess what? Your payment's $200 more. I mean, right now it's like basically back to where it was.
It's
close to.
Quickly dropped back to
just
similar,
like that.
which is great news. The downside of this is what we're going to talk about here in a minute. Is this is on the 24s, so we'll talk about the 25s here in a couple minutes.
Yep.
Let's move on to the Type S. Because in this rare scenario, there's some incentives on the Type S. We have a finance rate of 3.9 for 24 to 60 months, and they have not had anything on the Type S, period. I think there was one time they offered a conquest rebate or something on it, loyalty.
Right.
We get to use that $2,000 captive sell down bonus cash on that. Again, you have to use Acura financing, whether that's standard rates or the special rate there, which why wouldn't you? You get $2,000.
Right.
So don't come in and want to pay cash. You're throwing away not only a great rate, but you're throwing away $2,000. You're not beating the system. You're going to lose that way. And then the lease, there is only Acura standard lease rates. You do not have a special, which it hurts on that car because the standard rates are normal rates. They're up there.
7-8%.
Yeah, so those payments are high on a $75,000 vehicle. However, they are giving you the loyalty of $2,000 if you lease it. So there is a little incentive there. Or that $500 Lexus Conquest offer. So you can use $2,000 on a purchase or $2,000 on a lease. Really is how it breaks down.
Yeah. Keep forgetting that
I guess we could have spelled that out a little bit better, but that's really how it is. It's either or. You can't combine that because they add that lease to the conquest. Again, that lease loyalty down here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep that in mind because obviously that's something that.
And that's why I put it in red on the screen because I wanted to make sure that it was apparent that you needed the lease to get that. And the last slide, which I didn't prepare for us today because we didn't have the car out yet.
It's not even here yet.
Is the ZDX. And so I didn't put this together, but there are some introductory lease rates on the ZDX, a money factor of 0.00150, along with lease cash of $2,875.
They're just making up numbers now.
They are they pulled that right out of the bingo hopper.
Mm-hmm.
Next number, please. So there are some there's going to be an introductory lease offer. So why are we telling you about this? Because the car's not here yet. It goes on sale today. And effectively, there's probably some people that pre-ordered that car that are getting theirs within the next couple days or a week. So those cars are now able to be sold and on the market. We'll be seeing ours pretty soon. But there is an introductory lease offer. And there's also finance rates, actually some pretty good finance rates. Yeah. Again, 2.9 for up to 48 months or 4.9 for up to 60 months. They also are giving you, if you're an Acura customer or Acura loyal customer, you're getting $1,000 loyalty cash for the lease. And if you are a Tesla customer and you're leasing, you get $1,000 lease cash. So on the lease side of it, there's some good incentives when that car comes out. We'll talk more about the ZDX
and there's also the tax thing, which
tax incentive, which is not a necessarily an Acura incentive, right. But if you qualify, the ZDX qualifies,
which
for the $7,500.
Get into that more, I think.
Yeah,
we got to look into how that works.
We'll talk about that a little bit more. If you're looking at the ZDX, you probably already know. And you probably already know whether you qualify for that $7,500.
Or if you ordered one already, which,
Hopefully you do know. So that's the incentives on that side of it. We did want to talk about a little bit, since we talked a little bit about sell down, right? So let's start with the Integra, because they have sell down cash on the Integra. The Integras are all 24s. 25, I was just actually going to take a peek, and I'm going to do that as we're talking in real time and just get some ideas on dates on 25s. But it looks like we're looking at...
Still got some manuals in there, huh?
So we still have May production of Integra. So it looks like we're going to be into that second week of June at the earliest for a 25 Integra.
Yeah.
So the reason why I point that out is because here's what's available on the ground for these incentives if you want to take advantage of them. There's not many more coming. So if you say, well, they have a couple of black ones and that's what I want, I'll kind of wait and see what happens. Once those black ones, a couple ones are gone, we're already seeing that with some models. I know Matt chased down a 6-speed. Boy, did we chase that car down for a couple of weeks.
They're drying up quick.
And there's really nothing coming. So we knew that if we didn't get it in time, we wouldn't get that color combination for that customer. There's really not much left in the pipeline. Not to mention they're taking advantage of the lease special. And those are going to, will go away with the 24s, and the 25s will certainly be more as far as incentives. So you got a month or so. Keep the inventory in the back of your head, especially if you're looking for something that there aren't many of now. There probably won't be many of down the road. And same thing with the MDX. So we have these awesome incentives on the MDX right now, but we're really at the point, and I'm going to look and see what's left on production.
I haven't looked at that one lately, but
wow. So we've got about 2-3 weeks left of 25 or 24 production. Meaning that's it. So what you see, there's going to be a handful more trickling in, and what you see is that's it. And then it'll be 25s. Don't wait. There's already a couple models and trims that are already really tough to get. And I'll use the A-Spec as the example because there were a lot of A-Specs earlier in the year. And I thought we were never going to see the end of them. Like, that's all we had for a while were A-Specs. Now, A-Specs are there's very few, and there's almost none on order. And so if you're after one of those, you don't wait. You go get what you want to get now if you want to take advantage of the 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, whatever they have there. Or you can wait for a 25, which we're going to talk about some of the changes.
So this is where, that value to like what the changes, like how much does that matter to you? And I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably have like done some type of research on 24, 25 MDX. What are the
probably
changes?
Just by typing in Acura.
You accidentally stumble across. Hey, wait a second.
Right. I didn't ask for that.
And this is right. And this is part of the reason that Acura is doing this with the incentives on the 24, similar to what happened. The weird thing is, to me, like we're not doing. It's not like a redesigned car. It is the same car. It's not like a different car.
It's a mid-model refresh. Right. So the car's been out 3 years. 3 years.
3 years.
So 25 will mark the 4th year.
Correct. Yep.
And that's when they usually do a refresh on the car. So it's getting a refresh. They've come out and said some of the things it's getting, which there's some nice things on that list that it's getting, but it's not going to be a drastic change. If your neighbor saw you pull in with one, they probably wouldn't know that it's 24 or 25 versus the other one.
And the big changes, which again, the biggest one is the touchscreen. The fact that they pulled that screen forward a little bit, and it's the touchscreen. They're ditching the touchpad. Actually, can I gripe a little for a second because they're getting rid of that little handle.
I know that's my biggest gripe about it.
Right.
I'm going to jump on board and say that this touchscreen is going to make everybody's life easier, and they're great, which I don't believe, because I think if you have the touchpad and you know how to use it, you'll like it.
We've had plenty of people buy them and not
you'll like it. You get used to it and you understand the concept behind it and you'll like it. Whereas a touchscreen, there's no good experience with touchscreen. That's just what you're used to. That's why you like it, right? But I'm jumping on board with that. But that console was the best console with this little armrest. If you haven't been in one, it has this little place where you can rest your hand.
Which was supposed to be for the touchpad.
Supposed to be because of where the touchpad is. But it's just the perfect, center console armrest.
Yeah, because we lost like the shifter, and a lot of people didn't like that. So
and that's going away because they figured you don't need it, and I'm disappointed in that. Not to mention that I think the problem is the charger's underneath that, so people probably want to see their phone. And I'm telling you, if you're playing on your phone while you're driving, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you. If I see you in the car playing on your phone. So anyways, your phone goes underneath that, and you probably couldn't see the whole phone. So that annoyed people probably. So they removed it so you can see your phone.
Yeah, see your notifications coming in. Yeah,
better not.
Yeah, because you have a touchscreen now, so now you can touch that.
I'll turn you in personally. No, you really should. Yeah, the phone. I think people want to be able to see their phone down there, and whatever.
Have access
but you ruined the console. I don't know if it ruined it. It's still a nice console, but there's
I like that little added thing. It just looked nice.
It was great.
So
it was functional too.
The other thing too is they're moving away from the ELS studio, which is fine. I mean, they're going to the Bang & Olufsen, which I'm sure is going to be fantastic too.
So those two terms are radio terms. So
Bang & Olufsen.
They're upgrading the audio
Olufsen.
system. If you want to say
Olufsen. Yeah. I mean, it's a more well-known brand name, right? Yeah. And that's like when people come in, do you guys have Bose, right? And that's just like, it's this brand recognition. I think that's a big part of it. It probably very well could sound the same. Obviously we don't know yet. We'll find out.
And that's the challenge. Anytime you have a product that you design yourself that doesn't have any recognition, people, obviously if you own an ELS sound system in your Acura before, you probably said, well, it's pretty good, right?
Yep.
Matter of fact, we've had people that had some of the earlier ones that swear by them and are, they have to have it, right? And now it's kind of gone. So
so that's some of the changes. They're adding a couple packages there, which I found kind of interesting that they're doing in advance. Did you remember that?
So there isn't going to be a new package that's available on the 25. If you haven't already read all this, we'll just kind of skirt through it real quick, and that is the advanced A-Spec package
to match the RDX,
which kind of matches the package that they added to the RDX, which I think is a great move. However, I don't know that there's a ton of people looking for that. But if you like the look of the A-Spec and you want those advanced features, it's brilliant. Why wouldn't you do it? Right?
Yeah, and I think, we'll have to look at the price points when they come out. And that's the other thing to consider, right? Obviously, there will be a price increase.
Sure.
It could be in the ballpark of $1,000. It could be more for all we know. And then it puts that tech package number, which right now is at $59,000. It's going to put it at 60 or higher, guaranteed.
So, with upgrades and it'll be tough for them to keep it under 60. Well, when you go to the advanced A-Spec, that'll be another interesting thing is how close do you get to the Type S?
Right.
Right.
And I think that's, to me, that's why they didn't, whether or not they did that, that's the reason. But once you get to that point, you're in Type S territory. You're approaching $70,000. 75, and I know the new one's going to be more, but if you're spending close to $70,000, the Type S is going to give you all of that and then some, especially in the new one, which I think has 36 speakers now on the Type S. So...
Well, that closes that gap. I guess then you could kind of put a number on saying, here's what the performance costs you.
Yeah.
You can have everything else. Here's what the performance will cost you. And that's kind of, I do.
Yeah, that's a great, So, with all that being said, obviously there's some nice changes that are going to be had. They're redoing the front fascia a little bit, but honestly, you're not going to be able to tell like the major difference. They're making a different color. I think it's going to be the same as like the blue. I forget what they call it. Did you see it in there?
I didn't.
Anyway, I was looking through some of that. But anyway, so they're changing a little bit of that. So there's some nice aesthetic changes, but also some nice feature changes. But again, obviously we showed you guys what the incentives were. That's why Acura is doing that. It's a great time to get that. Don't let the touchpad sway you from it. I'll show you how easy it is to use. So anyway.
Yeah, there will be a pretty big gap between the two when you start considering the lease on a 24 outgoing and then a 25 lease. If you're holding out just because you think you want a touchscreen, and you have the touchpad and you absolutely, maybe you don't like it, is it worth that much more money? It's
right.
Take away $6,000, and even if they give you a couple back, you're still talking about $120, $150 a month difference between the two. So on a lease, I don't know that I would jump on that. If you're buying it, okay, maybe you spend the extra money and get the one you want.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and then the Z. Well, I think that's pretty much it on the MDX. That's where we're at. And so, actually, I was just talking to a client yesterday who was like, well, don't you guys come out with those types of incentives in the fall? Well, no, it's at the end of a model year. So keep that in mind.
Yeah,
This
and
is
as the models have been coming out sooner, the fall clearance of those models has kind of gone away because all the manufacturers by August they've almost replenished the whole line. Everything's new at that point, and there's no leftovers at that. Like there won't be leftovers in 2, 3, 4 months. I mean, so you're too late in the fall like it used to be, and I used to like it when it was in the fall and all the models changed at the same time. But now they kind of stagger them, and that's what I was going to bring up is. The 24 TLX really just kind of came out, so they're not changing that to a 25 really anytime soon. And the RDX, which they've already said is going to get some type of changes.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that.
Which we do not know what those changes are. So if you read an article on the MDX, a lot of the people have put that in the article that the RDX is getting changes too. We don't know that what those changes are, and Acura has not said that. But a lot of people implied that, they're getting the same changes.
Yeah.
That we don't know that yet.
And if they were, you would expect that they would have already said that because that's the if they already talked about the MDX, so why wouldn't they say something about the RDX? So.
But the RDX, there are no 25s in the system or on order. We have not ordered those yet. So that will be later in the summer change. And we don't know what they're going to do with that car yet as far as, changes.
Yeah. So don't wait with bated breath on that one. Just and there's some decent incentives on the RDX, but that could continue. Who knows? We'll see.
So to be fair, we have not touched much on the ZDX because it hasn't been here. We didn't really have a time when that car was going to kind of show up. So we will dedicate some time to going over the ZDX.
Yeah.
Here's what we know, here's the equipment, here's the options, here's the colors, here's what's available. Here's how you buy one, because there's a couple different options there. And so we'll touch on that in another show, all about the ZDX. And by the time we roll that out, the car might be here. And maybe we'll just do it in the car.
I'd say that's what I was wondering. Yeah, we have it here. We can show you guys live. I know there's plenty of videos online, but hearing it from us, it's from the dealership, so get our perspective.
When it's on the ground when we talk about it.
Right, that's right. Yeah,
it's not just hearsay. It's here,
right?
Because that's what
we have to do. That's what we have to wait for them,
right? So they are shipped. They are being shipped. Like you said at the beginning of the show, the ZDX are the initial shipments are going to go to the first people that raised their hand and said, "I wanted one." You could have done that months ago online. And so they're fulfilling those orders first come, first serve, which is good for them.
Yep.
And then the dealers will start to get demo units for you to take for a drive and see what it's all about. And then we will have some stock units, which wasn't initial plan, but it's coming. We have some on order, and there will be some available.
Yeah, I think Acura has to do that. I think most manufacturers kind of have to do that.
I knew that during COVID, all the manufacturers said, well, you're going to order most of your cars going forward. That was their nice thing to say of, we don't have any cars now, that's probably what you're always going to have to do. But that wasn't the reality. And we're seeing it today, we're back to, I wouldn't say back to the same inventory levels, but it's really close. There's a couple brands out there that are thinner than others, but their day's coming. They will build more cars, be able to build more cars.
Because they want to build them and the dealerships want to buy them. I mean, it's the cycle that's going to continue for the rest of eternity, whether you like it or not.
Pretty close.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We appreciate any comments or anything like that. Obviously helps drive the show. Make sure you like or subscribe and make sure you follow up. We try to do that as regularly as we can. If monthly and maybe bi-weekly.
I promise, and I'm going to make a live statement that we will get some more product shows out there.
Yeah.
I know we've been doing a lot of the podcasts and talking about stuff, but it just hasn't been a whole lot of time to dive into the product stuff. But we will do some more of that. Some of the stuff we have is getting old. There's newer information that you need to consider your next Acura, and we need to provide it. So We'll get some more stuff out, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Have a good one.